Everyone wants to live longer, right? Well, I have 4 easy tips for you to make sure that happens. Today, we're going to be talking about tip number 1. So I'm going to tell you 4 tips to make sure you have a longer life and a more enjoyable life. The first one is exercise. Now, before I jump into this, you're probably asking yourself, where did I even come up with these tips? Well, that wasn't me. I'm not a scientist. It's not like I study this stuff on a daily basis. It's not my job. I pulled almost all of this information from Peter Attia. If you do not know who Peter Attia is, Google him. Look him up. I promise you, you will gain some knowledge just by looking into who that is. And if you're someone that's really interested in longevity and health, I highly recommend his podcasts and several of his books. He's got a new book coming out that I'm really pumped to read. So that's where I'm getting this information from. And today we're going to be talking about the big one. This is exercise. And exercise, out of all the tips I give you, this one's probably the one that'll make the greatest impact on making sure that you live longer. Now, when you talk about exercise, its positive impact is so great that it's a bigger impact positively on your health than smoking or diabetes. Something like that could have a negative impact. So essentially, if you have a really bad lifestyle and you're honest with yourself and you have diabetes or smoking or something else that's going on that's just really bad for your health, and you know that it's taking years off your life, don't think that exercise can't help, because you may have all those things going on. And if you just exercise, that's going to have a greater impact on your health than those are, as far as negative, pros and cons. So the point is, don't ever think that you're just too far gone. You're too far down the hole and you can't dig yourself out of it, right? If you exercise, just sacrifice a little bit. Take baby steps. You don't have to go full on bodybuilder mode every day in the gym. Just a few days a week. Start out 2 days a week, 3 days a week. Check how much time you're actually spending on it, how much you're sacrificing away from this other stuff that probably doesn't even matter. Just get in the gym. That's all that matters. And really, a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you, you don't even have to go to a gym to do. You can just do this at home. Now, the big thing with exercise is it has such a positive impact on your health and how long you can live that you can't duplicate it. You can't duplicate it with anything else that we have in science. You can't duplicate it with any kind of drugs, even things like metformin that you can argue both ways now, I guess, but metformin has such a great impact on your health. And things like HGH that people think is just like the fountain of youth. None of these drugs are going to have such a great impact when you compare it to exercise. So just remember that if you can do anything, exercise is the thing you want to do. Now we're going to look at this one meta-analysis, but trust me when I say there are tons of meta-analysis and studies you can look at that'll show you how great exercise is for your health and longevity. Now, the first one is a systemic review of meta-analysis. I have it linked here. I'll bring it up at some point in this video. But basically, it looks at over 1,400 studies that met the criteria that they're looking for, and a total of 370,000 participants, okay? Now, the main takeaway from this study, it's a very long, I keep calling that a study, it's a meta-analysis. The main takeaway is resistance training is associated with lower mortality and appears to have an additive effect when you combine it with aerobic exercise. So weight training is great. That has a ton of great benefits, especially when you get older, with bone density and being able to just keep yourself upright. You know what I mean? Being able to move around. But when you combine that with any kind of aerobic exercise, whether it's on a bike or a treadmill or getting outside and getting some fresh air and just simply walking, sacrificing some time out of your day to just walk and weight train, it doesn't have to be much. That's going to have a huge impact on how long you live. So the first big statistic in this meta-analysis is it shows a 21% lower all-cause mortality rate just from weight training and getting some exercise just in your daily routine. That's a huge percentage when you think about it. Now, when you combine that with aerobic exercise, it jumps all the way to 40%. 40%. I mean, let's just be realistic with how these percentages are. Is it going to be 40% for everyone? No. But say the 40% was you, and it was, I don't want to say essentially you live 40% longer, but if you wanted to think about that, that is kind of the positive impact it's having on your health. And that is huge. Imagine not doing this and just living to 60, but doing this, then you're able to live to 90 or 80, even 10 more years. To me, that is well worth it. I mean, if you don't think that's worth it, then you have other problems going on that you don't see the beauty in life that makes this worth your while. I promise. Then here's the big point. It's never too late. So that's the big takeaway from this whole thing, is for some reason, the older people get, the more they think, well, I'm just too old now. It's probably not even going to help me. Or someone that's just really sick with some disease that's out of their control, like cystic fibrosis that I have. It's never too late to just sacrifice a few minutes out of your week to just exercise, because the impact it's going to have is way greater than the 30 minutes missing your favorite TV show, or 30 minutes from a nap, or just, going out to eat, or just literally sitting on your couch and doing nothing, or playing video games, or scrolling through Facebook or TikTok. Just sacrifice some time, find a way to do it. I've even put out videos to tell you how to get into the gym. The Post-it note tip, write it on a Post-it note. If you have to make yourself a Google Calendar invite to remind yourself to do something, or in your phone, whatever you have to do, just remind yourself of the importance of just sacrificing a little bit of time. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a lot. Start at 3 days a week, 1 hour, 3 days a week. That's 3 hours out of your week. Like, you can't sacrifice 3 hours. You're lying to yourself if you think you're that busy that you can't sacrifice 3 hours just to exercise at your house. You don't even have to go to the gym. Then bump up to 4 hours, 5 hours. That's all that matters. You don't have to go every day, but it's the time you spend, right? It's the exposure time that you put yourself through exercise. It's going to help you. So this is a really interesting part of this video that I want to bring to your attention. That is how to actually test your health, because people talk about exercise and they talk about how they can look at someone and see if they're healthy. You can't just look at someone and know if they're healthy, okay? You can look at someone and know if they're unhealthy, like that's easy to do. But to look at someone and say, well, they're definitely healthy, it's hard to know that unless you actually test them. And that applies to yourself. It's hard to know if you're actually healthy until you test it. Now, these things, I tested these out on myself. I didn't pass all of them. And I don't know many people that would, if I'm being quite honest with you. And the version of what I think that person would look like is not really what the version I had in my head of health is, but that is changing on a weekly basis for me, is what I think health looks like in someone. And that's definitely subjective, but I just want you to think about how to test these. Now, Peter Attia came up with most of these. There's some other things he has too, but these are the ones that I feel like are most important. So Google those and see how he came up with these, and see if this applies to you. Now, the first part is testing your health is cardio. So this is what I would recommend you do, and this is based off of what he says too. You can do this on, I think a stationary bike is probably best, just because it's a good way that you can actually visually see how much output you have, right? And that is just start at 1.5 hours per week on a bike, and then try to move up to 3 hours, okay? So the best way to do it is just 4 days a week, do 45 minutes on a bike. And like, obviously when you start, you're gonna try to figure out the best effort, but just at first, pick out an effort that's sustainable, that you're not gonna regret doing it, be too sore. There's no reason to go hardcore at first. 45 minutes, get a breeze going, but actually write it down, write down how much, how far you went in 45 minutes. Next time you come in, see if you can beat that. Obviously keep trying to just beat yourself until you get to the point to where you're really getting some high output energy in there, right? You're really burning some calories, breaking a sweat. When you get to that point to where you're honest with yourself, that you actually tried hard, that's really the goal. You want to see if you can try hard in the gym, okay? Next, now this one is super important. Now this is about your VO2 max. Look up what VO2 max means and sort of the meanings and the way you can test that out. But this is what you want to do to make sure you're really able to give your full VO2 max, your full effort. And this is a good way to test your actual aerobic health, okay? That is at least once a week. This is called the 4x4 method, the 4x4 HIT method, if you want to look it up. So what you want to do is 4 minutes of high output. Now, high output is literally as much as you can do. All right, everything you got in the tank for 4 minutes, and then 4 minutes of low output. So just chilling. You're trying to recover. You're not stopping. You're not being lazy, but you're keeping a good pace. Okay, 4 minutes of that. That's going to count as one. Now you want to do that at least 4 or 5 times. So 4 minutes high output, 4 minutes low output. 1. Do that 3 more times, then you're at 4. You're pretty much done. So try that at least once a week. And then once you get, really happy with yourself with the results, try it a couple times a week, because the more you do it, obviously the better it's going to be. Now, when you look at my first tip where I said get in the gym 4 times for 45 minutes, if you want to be the best of the best, do this high output 4x4 hit 3 or 4 times a week. If you were able to do that, I promise you your aerobic health is spectacular, because the first time you try this, you're gonna be like, wow, that sucked. That was not easy, okay? If that was easy for you, you're probably in good shape to begin with. Now, the next part is strength. And this is one that people have the wrong idea in their head too. You think about like a bodybuilder or a weightlifter, bench pressing and squatting and deadlifting and all this stuff, but you really want to think about what's sustainable and functional as you really grow in age. Like, what would you be able to do when you're 50, 60, 70 years old that's actually going to help you? Bench press? Probably not. So the first thing you want to at least test is your wall squat, which is 90-degree angle against a wall and just holding yourself there, you know, with your legs as if you're doing just essentially just a steady squat. You don't have to put weight on your legs unless you want to once you get good at this, but you want to be able to do a wall squat for 2 minutes at a 90-degree angle. That sounds easy, but it's not as easy as you think, okay? That's going to test the strength, not just in your quads and your hamstrings and your glutes, but also your knee stability, okay? Because stability is a big thing, especially when you get older in age. So wall squat, 2+ minutes. And this is probably the most difficult one for the bodybuilders watching this. And that's a dead hang, where you just get into a pull-up position, arms completely straight, and just hang there, okay? 1 minute's tough. I could only get 1 minute when I tested myself out today, and I was just warming up. That was tough. The goal needs to be 1.5 to 2 minutes. So yeah, as far as strength goes, I'm not unhealthy. I mean, I'm not healthy. I couldn't even do a minute hang, okay? So try to do a dead hang for 1.5 to 2 minutes. If you can do that, you're in good shape. And that's gonna be testing your grip strength, because grip strength is a very good indicator of how healthy you are as far as strength when you get to an older age. Now the next one, this one's really simple, and this needs to be free weight if possible, is just doing a simple deadlift. Be able to do your body weight 10 times. If you can do your body weight 10 times, you're probably in a pretty good spot as far as strength goes, okay? Now go back and test out. If you want to just really test yourself, do everything I just mentioned. Start with your strength. Try a wall squat for 2 minutes, see if you can do it. Move on to a dead hang. Maybe you should do deadlift first, because that's gonna have the most, but do it whatever order you want, really. Do a wall squat, do a dead hang, and then try your deadlifts. See which ones of those you can actually do, and the ones that you can't, that's what you need to work on. Then move over to the cardio. Do the 4x4x5 HIIT training. See if you can do that. You can do it, but you really want to see how far you can push yourself with it, okay? Now, after you've done all this stuff, be realistic with yourself. How healthy are you, okay? Now, if you can do some of this stuff and you don't necessarily go to the gym a lot, think about maybe going to the gym a little bit more, or not even going to the gym. Like I said, exercising at home. What kind of effect that would have on being able to do some of these tests that I just laid out for you. So let me know, you guys try these out, and actually leave a comment below and let me know if you were able to do any of these, because I tried these, and I'm gonna be honest with you, because I'm not a fan of just acting like I got it all figured out, and I could not do all these, okay? The dead hang was the one that got me. Deadlift, that was pretty easy, I could do that. The wall squat, I had that one easy. I think I probably could have went longer, but the dead hang, my grip strength is not as good as I thought, and that could be the fact that I weighed 255 pounds. Probably could have got it if I was 215, 225, but I'm not. So again, BMI, exercise, it all comes into play for your health, okay? But let me know if you like this video. I got 3 more tips coming up after this one, and there you could probably take a guess as to what they are. I'm not gonna tell you though. Thanks for watching.